All right, everybody, we're going to do a real quick, easy little bass worm for you. This is just been kind of playing with some ideas, and it's a lot of fun to throw bass worms and stuff unconventional, and so let's apply it to a little bit of the fly fishing world. And I know there's a bunch of different bass worms out there. Just quick, easy little thing that I've been messing around with to help you catch more fish. So this is an Airex 26-degree bend 2/0 hook, and I'm just going to take some thread. Really doesn't matter what color thread or what you got. You just want a nice strong thread on here. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to lay down a base of thread and kind of go down the bend a little bit. And I'm going to clip that off. So I went over to our fabric store, and I found this kind of, like, I don't know what you want to call it. It's a real fluffy, like, soft chenille, but it comes in a bunch of different colors, so it variegates throughout the seine. And you got like kind of a camel color, and like a dark brown, and then a red, and then usually it reverses from there. And it goes back to dark brown, back to kind of a cinnamon camel color, but then you get this this cream color, and I'm sure you could buy this probably in just the cream color, but I like this just because I can use markers and make it whatever color I want. So but you can do some really cool things with the variegated stuff. You can do this with 2 different colors and make it all kinds of different stripes and things. Like I was doing these that are brown and red. You can do the tan and the cream color, and that makes kind of a cool striped brownish kind of shade to it. But I'm gonna take 2 sections of the cream on here, and I usually just kind of save the other ones to the side and do that. But I'm gonna take one of the sections of the cream, and I'm just gonna wrap back up here, and for this part you're just making the body. Okay, so I'm just going to hold it on with a number of tight wraps so it doesn't go anywhere. We're going to wrap back off that and make the body. That way you can change the length of the tail. So I just got this here. I'm going to take one of these loon gator clips, usually a dubbing brush or a dubbing loop maker. I'm just going to clip it to the end here, and I'm just going to get my thread out of the way a little bit. I'm just going to let it hang off my vise. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to spin it. And what I'm doing is I'm spinning this, and we're going to furl this. Okay, so I'm just going to spin it until it's nice and tight. And you see it start to kind of climb upwards. You know, it's nice and tight. And give it more spin than you think you need, because we want a nice tight worm on here. So when it kind of starts to not want to spin much, that's when I know I got it right. Okay, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of pull here and go right back to the location where I tied in, and I'm just going to kind of help it kind of furl on top of each other. Okay, and then I'm going to pinch that. I'm going to take the gator clip off, wrap back off, and you can obviously do this all in one step if you want, but I like to do it this way just because then I can make sure my tail is the right length that I want. So I'm going to come down the bend of this. I'm going to tilt my hook a little bit, and on this I've kept this pinched nice and tight, and I want just maybe this is probably a 3-inch, 2.5 to 3-inch tail on here. Okay. And I'm just going to tie this in. And I want some nice tight wraps on here so that it doesn't move any. But what that does by going down the bend, it's going to, when this sits up in the water, it's going to let that tail kind of wiggle and kick up in the water. Okay? And then I'm just going to come forward a little bit, and I'm just going to wrap this forward. Now, you're not going to have enough just with this one little segment, but this is going to help kind of anchor it in place a little bit. I'm just going to capture that off, and I'm going to tie in that second section chenille or yarn or whatever you want to call it. For smaller worms, using that variegated stonefly chenille works really kind of cool. Looks really kind of neat and works really well. So I'm just going to take that other section here. I'm going to tie this in. And the goal in this is to make a nice thick front section. If you've looked at Senko worms or, you know, any of your conventional, you know, the shape of those, and that's kind of what we're after here. So I'm going to go back over the top, make sure there's no real gap in between that back there. And I'm going to wrap this forward until the jig bend. Then I'm going to go back over and make this all look nice and uniform. And you can see that we have this nice kind of bulbous center part here. Real easy, quick worm. And you can definitely do it just like that if you wanted it unweighted. I'm going to show you how I've been tying them. And I think it helps it just sit on the bottom a little better as you're pitching and twitching this through. Now I do this a couple different ways here. You can do them with a collar on here if you just take some flash hackle or some of those Semperfly materials and put that through there. You can have a little collar on there. I've just been doing them straight right now. But what I'll do is I'll take a Flyman Fishing Company sculpin helmet. These are nice, heavy, and they're dense, and I like them in the black with this. I'm just going to, I might take just a little piece of leftover chenille so it's got something to glue onto. Just kind of give it a couple quick wraps on there. Don't want it to be bulky, just want something to glue onto. Just have something to have a base to, otherwise it'll spin a little bit on you. Okay, so we'll make that nice and tied down and tight. We'll go ahead and whip finish. Cut off. And we'll take that sculpin helmet, and this is going to ride hook point up, which is why I like this 26-degree jig hook. I'm just going to take some super glue on here. I'm just going to give it a nice saturation. And because we got that chenille there, it'll sink down in there a little bit. But then I'm just going to take this and I'm going to put it on there. I'm going to push it back to where I've got a little bit of space there. Okay, as you can see, there's a little bit of space there at the back or in the front. I'm making sure it's nice and straight on there. Give it a couple seconds to lock in. And then we're going to make this one weedless. You can definitely just fish it just like this if you want. But we'll might as well add some weed guards. So we're just going to take some hard mono. This is just Mason's hard mono. You can just do a heavy mono if you want as well. And when we cut this, it's definitely going to have a curve to it. Okay, so I'll just take that and I'll cut it back in half. And we're just going to make our weed guards. Oh, drop it. Well, now I can't find it, so we'll cut ourselves another piece. The beauties of having carpet. I'll find it in the vacuum later. But let's be honest, who vacuums their tying studio? Okay, so take it with the curve, put it upwards like this. Okay, we're gonna leave a little bit out the front here. Okay, we're gonna make sure that that's off to the right side of this and it's on top of the eye of the hook. Tie in the other one, and we're gonna tie them in long right now because I'll show you what we're gonna do if you know the burning technique to get these in and ready to go. Really pretty easy. Okay, so we'll set those where we want them to go. kind of pull these out just a little bit. Okay, so that we get them where we want them to be. Okay, we'll give some nice real tight turns down on top of here, and we'll go ahead and whip finish. Okay. All right, so we're going to take just a lighter. We'll cut these a little bit shorter. Okay. And then we're just going to spread them. Make sure they're on either side of the hook point. And we're going to hit them with the lighter. Get them a little bit balled up, and then you're just going to take your finger and mash them down. And that's just going to keep them from pulling out. Okay. And then we'll just go ahead and pull these. And they'll suck right into that thread head there. And if you need to, you can push them back out or whatever, and make sure that they're lined up right where they need to be. If they've rolled on you at all or anything. And I just usually take them, pull them tight, and I clip them right behind the barb. And that gives me a nice spread, and it'll help deter some things. If you want them to be real prominent or stiff, you can make them a real short and stouter version there. For where I'm fishing them, this is fine. Okay, I'm just gonna take a little bit of Zap-A-Gap. I'll put them on top there and go around. Make sure they're where you want them to be, and you can get that glue to set them down. Okay, and then the last thing we're going to do is just, you can choose whatever color you want. Use a thing of chart pack markers is the one I like, just because they're quick and they do well on this material. So I like having an olive and kind of that watermelon or pumpkin kind of spotted, or you can do whatever you want with it, but I like this olive color on mine. So you can go through here. Just going to color this whole thing in here. There's a million different colors of chart pack markers and whatever you want them to be color wise. And some people like the watermelon kind of color. Some people like more of a brown. You can make them a chartreuse. You can make them striped. You can do whatever you want. I'm gonna flip this over just so I can get at it a little bit easier. What I like to do is I'm going to leave the tip a different color. That's why I like using the lighter color and the chart pack markers, because I'll show you what we'll do here. If you want, you can make it red, you can make it whatever. On these kind of darker olive ones, I like to do kind of a green or a chartreuse on here. So I'll use a fluorescent chartreuse. Now you have a hot tipped worm. And if you want, just add a couple spots of chartreuse through the center here. Helps model it up a little bit. And if you want, you can go back in with some brown or some camel or something like that, and you can add some dots and just model it up a little bit. Make it look wormy, if that's a word. We're gonna make it a word. We're just having fun with this. So it'll sit up just like that and kick in the water. You can pitch it and jig it and kind of just flip and pitch and move it along. And yeah, so there's a real quick, simple little worm for you. You can switch out materials how you like, or whatever you need, and hope that helps you out a little bit, and have some fun.